Python, we have two types of loops. Either we can go with while or a for loop. So to understand about a while loop, let me take a variable. I'll take it as x equals 0. Now let's define the while loop, for which we need to type the keyword while and then followed by a condition. Let me give x less than 5. And to start the block space, we give the colon. And as you press enter, there's an automatic indentation. So indentation is the block specification. Now let's type print x, and as we iterate the loop, let's increment the x with 1. Perfect. Let me save this and let's run this. And as you can see, as the loop iterates, we have 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So it goes on till 4. When x becomes 5, 5 is less than 5, so it comes out of the loop. Now let's talk about the for loop. The syntax for the for loop is for, you can pick up a variable like I in a range of 5. Let's give it as 5. So what this will do is, this is an inbuilt function which will generate 5 numbers. What are those 5 numbers? It starts from 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So let's start the block scope with the colon and then let's print the I. So what we are doing is, we are generating a set of 5 numbers, and from this numbers, each number will go and sit in I, and as we come here, that particular number is printed. Again it goes on, it takes the next number, then I, then print it, and so on. So essentially you should see a printing of numbers from 0 till 4. So let's run this, and yes, you can see 0 to 4. Oh, it's 2 times. Okay, let me comment this out. Let's run one more time, and here we see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or maybe if I give 10, so we have 0 till 9. 10 numbers are printed. So that is the basic syntax for printing a for loop. Now, when we deal with the loops, there are two things we need to understand, that is the break and the continue. Suppose you are iterating a loop, and if you want to come out of the loop when a certain condition is met, then we use the keyword break. So let's try this. So for this, let me take another for loop for x in range of 10 numbers, and here let's give a condition like if x double equals 7, then break. Alright, and let's also print this x so that we see what's happening here. So first let me comment this out, let me save, and we run it as expected. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When 7 has come onto the x, basically it has come out of the statement because of this break. Perfect. So that's how you use break. Now if you want to use the continue, let's take one more example for x in range of 10, and here let's write a condition like if x percentile 2 double equals 0. So what it means is, when you take the modulus with 2, if it is 0, which happens only for the even numbers, what we'll say is continue. What this will do is, it will take the control back to the starting point, so that the next set of statements are not executed at all. So if we put a print statement here, and if we take the x, let me execute and show you the output. Yeah, now look at this, we have 1. So essentially, first actually x was 0. When you take a modulus with 2, it turns to be 0, therefore it goes back. Then 1 is coming over here, 1 percentile 2 is not 0, therefore this is printed, and so on, so on. So whenever an even number appears, it will not print the statement, rather it goes back. If it is not, then it is printing. So that's how you use the continue. Now most of the times we are given a list of elements instead of list of numbers. Something like, let me take an example of days, and let us take so here we have a list of the days. Now I want to iterate through this list. So I'll use a for loop for d in days. So you could use any variable whichever is convenient for you. Now because it is days and it starts with d, I'm just taking a random variable by name d. Now what I want to do is I want to print that d. Now first let me comment this and let's run this, and as you can see, whatever is there in the list, that is being printed. So this notation is slightly different from most of the other languages. In C programming or Java, you might have done an initialization, then increment, then a breaking condition. Here we don't have that concept. We just iterate through a list of elements, or we iterate through a list of numbers. That's the most common purpose of using a loop. Now sometimes I just want the index of this element. I just don't want only the value. I also want to know where exactly this element is. Is it position 0 or 1 or 2 or so on. So for that, we'll use a function called enumerate. Now let me show you the syntax for that. So I'll copy this. Let me paste it over here. So if I wrap this days with enumerate, enumerate basically returns two values. One is the key and the value. So let me take I and d. So I is the key and d is the value. So if I print I comma d, and if you run it, here you can clearly see we have the index and the value. So this is a very useful function. Sometimes if you want the position of the elements in the list, then this is a good way. Now try these questions which have appeared in the interviews. Alright, I'll assume that you have got all the questions right. Practice more questions at this link.